I am here with the king of Android apps, Mr. Sam Beckman himself.
And I'm here with the king of Samsung apps, Daniel from Tech with Benefits.
But which should you choose? Samsung apps?
Or an Android third-party alternative?
Today, we'll find out.
Let's go.
Sam Beckman is the king of Android apps, and I'm here in his studio. I'm geeking out over this setup. But honestly, we're not here for that. Today, we're going to decide whether you should use stock apps from Samsung or an alternative from the Play Store. So Sam, I'm going to go first, and then you can provide your rebuttal for why you use a third party or why they should use a third party.
Oh, sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to start with Samsung Notes. I use this app all the time. Here's why I love it. First, it's the folder structure. Samsung Notes allows you to create folders, subfolders, set color codes, and also cover pages for each individual note. It gives you organization and keeps everything neat and practical to use. Other element is Galaxy AI. Samsung has put Galaxy AI into Samsung Notes, which means I can summarize a script, reformat a meeting, or even create something inside Creative Studio. There is so much more to Samsung Notes as well, and there's pretty much a dedicated video on its own for that, so hit subscribe so I can make that.
Well, Daniel, here's the thing. Samsung Notes, it might be great if you only use Samsung phones, but what do you do when you want to try out another version of Android or, dare I say, even iOS? Like, genuinely, what did you do last year with your Notes when you tried out the iPhone 17 Pro Max for a whole month?
Well, I use Apple Notes, if I'm honest.
Okay, but so, like, all your synced notes, what'd you do?
That's true, because then I've started to use other computers as well, and I don't really have anything synced. It's all, like, exclusive on one device.
So you don't have, like,
Nothing.
life important notes in the Samsung Notes app?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just kind of know where they are, but it's very disorganized.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that almost to me proves my point. And so that's where we enter the third-party app, NotesNook. This is a third-party notes app that I've been using for close to 5 years at this point. And here's the thing. It offers pretty much every feature that you just mentioned, but it has two features that Samsung Notes does not. One, it works on any device, including iOS, Windows, and Mac devices, either via a browser of your choosing or via a dedicated app. But two, it is completely open source, which is huge for a lot of folks in the app community. The only downside is that the free version is somewhat limited, so there's that. But as someone who switches between various OSs literally all the time, I need something that isn't restricted to the one ecosystem, and NotesNook offers exactly that.
Right, so it's pay to play. Cool.
But isn't the Samsung Notes app as well? You've got to buy one of their phones to use the Notes app.
We move on.
Fair enough.
Another Samsung app that's crucial to my workflow is My Files. It's got everything that you need to access the things on your phone. It has the proper folder structure, so with all the files that are included in it. It also brings together any other storage that you've got as well. So whether it be cloud storage services, external storage, or even network storage. Like if you've got network storage, you can plug that in and it actually will show up on your device in My Files. You can see it all there. The app gives you categories of files too, so you can jump straight into documents, images, audio. And I know we like to install third-party apps, so APK files are also part of it too. Something they've added recently is the ability to show summaries of PDF files underneath the file name. This is actually really helpful if you want to know what's in the file without having to open it, because it actually breaks down a little summary, maybe sentence or two, telling you what's in there so you don't actually have to go into it. It's great, and it also is great too if the file name isn't obvious, which most of them usually aren't. It also has utilities to manage your storage, as well as the ability to let you open two versions of the app so you can drag and drop files between folders with great efficiency. Very, very useful.
Yep, fair enough, and lots of good points. And I agree. I think, if you're a Samsung user, it makes a lot of sense to use that app. But again, if you're not a Samsung user, you've got to look elsewhere. And so my third-party app, my third-party File Explorer app is an app that I featured in the infancy of my channel, and I still use it to this day though, and it's called Solid Explorer. It actually just got a nice Material Expressive redesign recently too, although what's really neat is that you can revert to any of the previous theming options as well if you like. But I mean, yeah, this app literally has almost every feature that you could ever want in a File Explorer app. So proper folder structure, a storage analyzer feature so that you can see what's taking up the most space. You can connect to FTP and WebFS servers as well if you like. And it also has all the tools that you need to actually open any of your files too, so that you never need to leave the app. Again, like most third-party apps, there are some features that you do need to upgrade to the Pro version for, but all the basics are free. And again, on Android, it's universal. Sadly, no iOS version though.
That's fine. We don't care about that.
Whoa, shots fired.
Samsung's first-party app suite is extensive, and Reminder is just another one of those pretty incredible apps that doesn't get enough credit. Samsung's refreshed the UI over the last year or so, but the core functionalities are still there. The whole premise is time, place, and occasion-based. So you can set a reminder based on time, or you can set a reminder based on location. So you can say, remind me to take out the bins every Monday night at 7 p.m. Or the location one, remind me to pick up milk when I get to the grocery store. So every time you get to that grocery store, it's going to remind you that you need to get that milk. You do have to set up the locations, but it's kind of like a one and done, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. And for me, what makes the Reminder on Samsung's especially really useful is the integration into voice assistants. It makes it really easy to set a reminder just by a voice prompt, whether you're using Bixby or whether you're using Gemini. Alongside that too, Reminder also has an extensive ecosystem of things around it. So edge panels, widgets to allow you to easily access it anywhere on your phone, as well as integration with Samsung's calendar too.
There you go. Now, my third-party reminder app is actually where I'm going to get a little bit biased because it's actually my very own reminder app, and it's called Remy Reminders. But my developer and I built this app basically to replace the previous third-party reminder app that I used to use, which was called Memorigi. And Remy does not have the advantage of being integrated natively into the OS, which I admit is a very super handy feature to have, but it does have location-based reminders. It also has its own add with voice reminder feature, which is super cool when you try it in action. But it also has two features that even Samsung's Reminders app does not have: a version that works on iOS and the option to snooze reminders directly from the notification. Picture this, Daniel. You're in the middle of filming something with your Samsung phone and in pops a reminder to go and clean your underwear because, you made a mess.
Yep.
Now, you obviously don't want that to show on camera while you're filming. But with the Samsung Reminders app, even though there is the option to snooze that reminder, one, it doesn't even hide the notification when you snooze it, but two, it just snoozes it for a preset amount of 15 minutes. Like, what on earth is that? What if I know I'm going to be filming for another 30 minutes or an hour, or if I want that reminder to come in tomorrow instead? There just ain't an option to set a custom snooze duration with the Samsung Reminders app. Oh, and that's not to mention if I accidentally clear a reminder from my notification panel, that's it with Samsung Reminders. It's gone into the ether, and there's no way I'm going to remember it. And so with Remy, both of those issues do not exist. For one, if I accidentally clear a reminder from my notification panel, it just reappears and it will not disappear unless I either snooze it or mark it as complete. And that's how a reminder should work. And then secondly, when I go to snooze a reminder, I get this lovely self-contained custom snooze UI that lets me snooze that reminder for exactly however long I want it to be snoozed for. A minute, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 days, you get the picture. Oh, and again, it works the exact same way on any Android device and on iOS too, so you're not locked in to any ecosystem. You can switch to whatever phone you like, and your reminders come with you. So yeah, I'll admit Samsung Reminders is definitely a more feature-packed reminders app, but until it works on any OS and offers custom snoozing straight from the notification, it'll never be a reminder app that I can use full time.
I'm actually going to admit something here. I've been using Remy Reminders for the last couple of weeks. The things you've said, I've noticed quite extensively. I got a reminder set for bin night, and on the Samsung one, I cannot snooze it for the amount of custom time I want to do it for the next morning, and it just can't do it. Whereas Remy, I have that option, and then it comes up the next day. So, point to you. That's the only one I'm conceding.
Legend. I appreciate it.
This one, though, I find it hard to believe that you will be able to win, and that's Quick Share.
Oh, I cannot wait to win this one. Come on.
Quick Share is Samsung's pioneering feature that allows you to share files easily to other devices. To be honest, Samsung actually developed it and then shared it, funnily enough, with Google to make it platform-wide. Google couldn't figure it out with Nearby Share, so they had to use Samsung.
Why are you pointing at this phone? This is not
I don't
Google.
know. It's on there, isn't it? So we'll just go with that.
Sure.
Now, the thing is, Quick Share also works with Apple devices, which actually was Google's help coming back the other way. But it works a little bit slow. So I don't know. I don't really try to use it too much because of that. But if it works with photos, it's great. The great thing is, though, it works via direct connection with AirDrop. So you don't actually need a third-party app to be installed to work with AirDrop. It just works. But the thing that goes unnoticed with Quick Share is link sharing. You can, via a temporary cloud link, send files to anyone at any time. You just select the file, hit link share, and it creates both a link and a QR code for people to be able to download it from the cloud. The great thing is it's temporary, which means it's only there for a few days, meaning it expires. My wife actually sent me a Quick Share link today with a video that she made for our son's football game. She wanted me to watch it, and you can see in the link, there's an actual expiry date of when it expires, and then no one can download it from that link anymore. And it's great because it lets me download the video in full 4K quality so I have access to it. Part of the quick share feature set is also private share, which is a great service allowing extra security credentials and controls for Samsung to Samsung sharing, like the ability to add watermarks. And also, if you don't like the person anymore, pull access to that file at any time.
Nice. Now, before I go on, I actually am going to check because as you were talking there, I was actually really interested in the feature that you talked about where you can share files anywhere across the globe.
Okay.
Using links. So I'm going to see if I can do that myself using my third-party app equivalent, and then I'll update. So let's try this.
We'll be back soon.
So no, it doesn't have that feature.
Oh.
So there you go. I'll concede that as a victory. It's exclusive to QuickShare, at least, in terms of the third-party app that I'm about to show off. And I will admit, in terms of sharing to people where you don't own the devices, i.e. friends and family, like you said, your wife, I agree, QuickShare is definitely the better option. But for file sharing between devices that you yourself own, it is way too cumbersome. Like, even if you change all the settings to make it as hassle-free as possible, at the very minimum, you still have to manually accept every single transfer on either your Mac or iPhone, which if you're doing multiple transfers a day, which I do personally, definitely stacks up over time. The much, much better option, in my opinion, is a third-party file sharing app called Blip, because all you got to do is sign in with your email on any device that you have access to, and that's it. From there onwards, it is just as seamless to share a file on the Android and iOS side of things, and the transfers then auto-complete in the background without you having to do diddly squat. I've also found it way faster than QuickShare and more reliable, to be honest. I think you might agree that QuickShare, at least when you're sharing, to airdrop devices, it's not very reliable, right? So yeah, I almost never use QuickShare anymore because I just way prefer using Blip instead.
Do you think there's a world we can use both?
Well, as I said, I think QuickShare is the better option for sharing to devices that you don't own, whereas Blip, it's great if you own and use multiple devices. That's where it works. So yeah, I think they're actually perfect companions.
QuickShare, Blip. Shared. Last one is Weather. Samsung's Weather app. It's another service that has gone through a lot of visual refinements, but the core feature set, again, is still basically the same. The easiest way to access Samsung's Weather app is through a home screen widget rather than going hunting for it in the app screen. And then you get a pretty comprehensive look at the weather for the day ahead, plus any forecasts for days ahead beyond that. One downside though, and I'll get ahead of you here, is clicking on the radar takes you to an external web link instead of staying in the app. The radar is good because it actually has a predicted radar showing you for the rain for the day ahead, but it sucks that you have to leave the app entirely.
It's not even Samsung's radar though. It's weather.com. So
yes.
I don't think you can take the credit for that.
No, I won't. But
Cool.
I'm going to mention it as a downside.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, as well as the information for your current location, it's also great at allowing you to add extra ones. You can hit the search icon, search for your city, and you hit add. Then it just becomes part of the carousel of locations you can swipe between to see the comprehensive weather for that particular place.
It's interesting you say comprehensive weather because, again, in my experience, and you've even, just mentioned it yourself, you actually don't really get comprehensive weather. You get a bit of a glance on a one page, anything you click to get any more details, anything, not just the radar, anything redirects you to weather.com. So as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the big issues that I have with the Samsung Weather app. Yes, it looks really, really beautiful, and I actually prefer its design over the app that I'm about to mention, but it's basically a glorified weather dashboard. And secondly, it's not universal, so it doesn't work on non-Samsung phones. So enter my third-party weather app of choice that I've only just started recently using, Gradient Weather. Now, this app leans more heavily into the material expressive design, which some may love, others may hate, but it's definitely very clean at the very least. However, what I love about it is that when you click on literally anything, it all stays within the app, which to me is how a weather app should work, right? It even has its own weather radar built in, although I will admit it doesn't animate like the weather.com radar. But yeah, pretty much every feature is built right into the app, no redirecting to a separate website. And for me, that makes it such a great option.
I'll concede that.
I appreciate that, Daniel.
All right, look, I think after seeing all of these apps, you have choices. And that's probably the best part of the Android world is you aren't really tied or locked into one service or ecosystem of apps. Drop it down below which you think is the best from each category. Make sure you hit subscribe to both my channel and Sam's, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yo! I'm going to beat you. Oh, it doesn't get there.